Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Eric, and today's video is going to be talking about House of Anubis Season 1. So, if you don't know what House of Anubis is, here's a little explanation on what it is. It's a show about a boarding school in England, and Nina, the main character, comes there from America on a scholarship, and one of their classmates, Joy, goes missing, and Nina takes her place. Now, this causes a few rifts between some characters and some drama, obviously, and I'll get into the rest because I don't know how to explain it. House of Anubis ran from 2011 to 2013, and it became one of my favorite shows the moment I watched it, which was the night it premiered. I do remember this because I had watched all of the build-up and trailers for it, and I was like, this show looks like the most groundbreaking, amazing show ever. I probably didn't use those words. I was probably like, this show looks amazing. Those are probably the words I used. I'd probably call myself one of the biggest House of Anubis fans. Yeah, I'd say that. I don't know anyone that still watches the show that used to watch it. Like, I have a friend on Snapchat that when I post about House of Anubis, she'll slide up and we'll talk about House of Anubis, but I religiously watch the show. It is great. Once you get past some of the cheesy acting in season 1, it's amazing, and I love this show. So you remember how I stated I might have a problem with House of Anubis, like, obsessed with it? If I didn't say that, I think I am. I bought this on Amazon. I don't regret it. I love this. So, it's amazing. It's 5 discs, the complete first season. It's my pride and joy, and I love it. It's great. Also, that isn't my only House of Anubis merchandise, I guess you could call it. I have this, which, it's Nina's locket from the show, which, it's great. I love it. I made it. And, it's not the other only thing I have. So in Season 2, which we're not going to talk about yet, that'll be another video, they introduce these things called, well, not things called amulets, they're amulets that they find, and I have 2 of them that I made. They're great. They're different sizes though, because this was the first one I made, and I was like, the size isn't really right. So then I made this one, but this one's my favorite. It's Horus. I don't know who wore this one, but it's my favorite. I need a life. So now let's get into the actual show. So as I've already kind of described the plot, there are the characters too that I want to get into. So we'll start with Nina, the main character. She was my childhood crush. She was great. I love Nina. She is obviously the main character. And also there's going to be spoilers in here, just in case you didn't know. So, spoilers like I said, and she is the chosen one. She isn't thought to be the chosen one. It is thought to be Joy, which is why Joy goes missing at the beginning of the season. There's also Fabian, who is Nina's love interest, which they don't even get together till the last episode of the season. But there's a lot of flirting from the very beginning, and he's the smartest character, other than Maura, of course. So, yeah. Now there's also Amber. She's the pretty girl. At first she's just the dumb blonde and doesn't really know anything, but later on we learn that she knows more than she leads on to, and she's actually kind of smart. Now there's also Patricia. She's one of my favorite characters as well. She's the bad girl, the goth one. And she instantly hates Nina because, you know, Joy goes missing and she replaces her, and her and Joy were best friends. But later on, Patricia does come around and her and Nina become friends, and they ultimately form Sabuna. I had to do it. Now there's also Alfie. He is one half of a joking friendship with Jerome. Alfie ends up becoming a member of Sabuna later on in the season after he almost dies. So as I stated, Jerome is Alfie's friend. They're best friends. He's a schemer. He does a lot of scheming. There's also Maura and Mick. I'm not going to spend too much time on them because I hate their characters in Season 1. Eventually I do like Maura. She ends up becoming a good character, but Mick is just the worst character that the show has ever introduced. And that's saying a lot because Fabian's uncle's in the show and he doesn't do anything, and I liked him more than I'll ever like Mick. Long story short, Mick the jock, Maura the geek. They fall in love, and it's drama. So like I said, there's a lot of cringy acting in the show, especially in the first season. I feel like the actors got a lot better later on in the season, though, because at first, it's kind of bad, and I don't know why I watched it. But it's a great show. So Nina does this one face that anytime something shocking or intense happens, where she goes, and it's just a great face. Patricia's basically bullying Nina, so Nina just leaves the house. Nina gets all bullied, she leaves the house, and she finds this old lady who just seems to be a crazy old lady, like, that's my house, and no, it's not, you're just crazy, is basically what's going on. So Nina takes her back to the nursing home, and the old crazy lady, Sarah Frobisher Smythe, but she's known as Emily, I don't know her last name, but Emily is what they're calling her, reveals to Nina that she's Sarah Frobisher Smythe and gives Nina the Eye of Horus, which is the greatest fashion accessory ever. So there ends up being this storyline where Jerome, Alfie, and Patricia make Nina prove herself by making her go up to the attic, which is forbidden. And I just realized I didn't get into Victor or Trudy in my character analysis. Okay, so quick. Trudy is the house mom. She's the nicest character on TV in all of TV history. She's amazing. Victor is the housekeeper. He's mean, grumpy, old. He needs a life. Also, he's searching for the cup of ink, and that's why he got rid of the chosen one. I was like, go, girl, you need to get out of here because Rufus could come for you and he could kill you. I forgot about Rufus. So Rufus was a part of Victor's society. Victor's society we'll get into later, but he ended up leaving to be on his own and drink from the cup himself. That way he could be immortal. The cup of ink, once you drink the elixir of life, will give you immortality. So yeah, they get rid of Joy, send her off into hiding. That way Rufus doesn't find her and, you know, kidnap her and make her form the cup for him. That way he can drink out of it and be like, I live forever, not you, Victor. So yeah, they make Nina go up to the attic, but she has to steal the key from Victor's office, which she successfully does. Once in the attic, some crazy things start happening, like, you know, her getting caught by Victor, pretty much. Like, they're all outside the attic, and they're like, oh, hi, Victor, what are you doing? And then he's like, what is going on up there? And he goes up there, but then we find out that there's secret passageways in the house that can be opened by this beautiful thing that I love so much. So Nina gets in this secret room that has a painting in it that's inside of her locket, which mine doesn't open because, like, I didn't make the locket part because that would be too hard. I wish it did, though. She's hiding in the secret room, so Victor isn't like, oh, there's no one up here, so he leaves. We found out that Fabian and Amber want to go back and get Nina out, which is the formation of Sabuna, basically, right there. Just boom, Sabuna's ready. So they go into Patricia and Nina's room, which, yes, they share a room. I haven't gotten into all this. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But they go into her room, and they're like, give us the key, girl. Let's get Nina out of there. And she's like, I can't. I threw it out the window.
I threw it out the window.
And I'm like, what? You threw it out the window? And yet you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't give it to you. I threw it out the window. And you're like, not like being sarcastic about it. You're just like, I'm sorry. You threw it out the window. What were you expecting? So Nina knows how to pick locks because she's an American, and all Americans know how to do that. So she picks the lock and gets out. They all go to bed because, you know, they have to be to bed by 10 o'clock, and Victor wants to hear his pin drop. But basically, Nina and Fabian form the beginnings of Sabuna. And they find all these clues, and it leads them to the 8th step. And in there's another clue. I don't remember there's an ink piece in there. Oh yeah, ink pieces form the cup of ink. But yeah, so the hunt for the cup starts to happen, but they don't know that they're looking for the cup of ink. Eventually they find cylinders, and they're old recordings of Sarah Frobisher Smythe when she was a child. So Patricia, being Patricia, and not liking Nina, and not trusting her or anyone else, she has been going crazy. People are looking for Joy, thinking that Joy has been kidnapped, and no one's listening to her, when she was actually, like, kind of right. So eventually she sees Rufus outside the window, and she thinks it's a ghost because no one else saw it, and she thinks that she's actually going crazy. Eventually we find out that the ghost guy is Rufus, and he lies and says that he's a private investigator to get on Patricia's good side. So Amber ends up joining Sabuna, but it's not called Sabuna yet because, you know, Patricia and Amber switched roommates. Amber's like, girlish, you are up to something. She somehow is in a stall next to Nina, and Nina doesn't know. She comes over, takes a picture, and is like, I'm going to the teachers if you don't tell me what's going on. So Nina tells her everything, and then they go out to the woods and form Sabuna. Patricia starts working with Rufus to find Joy, and he gives her a couple pictures of things, and one of them is of this, the Ivors. And she's like, yo, I've seen that before. And she tries to steal Nina's locket. So a whole thing goes on where she's like, you trying to steal from me? That's not a good way of making friends. And then eventually Patricia's like, yo. So I met this dude, and he's totally into Egyptian artifacts. And like, he thinks your necklace is worth a lot of money. Will you come and meet him with me and possibly sell that? Which we all know that she's not really trying to sell it. She's looking for Joy. So Nina and Patricia see Rufus get knocked out and kidnapped by Victor. And they're like, what? And this is when Patricia joins Sabuna. There ends up being this whole thing with a black cat that Amber finds down in the cellar. And it leads to Trudy getting fired for not believing Victor's side of the story. There also ends up being something where Jerome and Alfie overhear things about Sabuna going down into the cellar, so they scare them off, and Alfie drops his mask. This is leading to something in the future. So finally the group learns about the Chosen One and the Cup of Aang. Joy is believed to be the Chosen One by the adults and by the kid. Oh, I realized I skipped over Alfie being in the hospital for drinking the elixir after going down into the cellar to get his mask. So that happens. So Nina writes this play from Sarah's accounts, I guess you could call them. And they talk about how Victor killed her parents, and, well, it's not Victor, Victor's dad. It's all confusing. Well, not to me, but to you, because I didn't explain it, but Victor's dad looks just like Victor, and killed her parents. So yes, this awesome play episode is going on about Victor and Sarah Frobisher Smythe, and talking about the society, which the society is the teachers and a police officer and the nurse from when Alfie was in the hospital. But yeah, so the play's going on, and it's really great, and we find out that Joy and Rufus are in the audience with Victor, and Victor hates them both. Well, he doesn't really hate Joy, he just was like, Joy, you can't be here. Rufus is trying to get you. Go! Sorry if the camera angle changed, my camera cut out, so we're gonna continue where we left off, which is the play, I think. Basically, long story short, the play is awesome. There ends up being a whole thing where Joy is caught in the audience and has to get out of there along with Rufus. And he tells Patricia to meet him at their meeting place at 9:30 or 9 o'clock. And he ends up kidnapping Patricia. She's gone for like an episode and a half. So Rufus uses Patricia as like a bargaining to get what he wants, which is the elixir and the Chosen One. This doesn't sit well with Mrs. Andrews, who is a part of the society, and she tries to get Patricia back by using fake stuff, and luckily Sabuna was there and saved Patricia. So yeah, Sarah ends up dying, and she leaves this box for Nina, and we start seeing hints that Nina is the Chosen One. Jerome ends up befriending Rufus, I guess we can call it, and, well, no, he's more of like getting money from him to give him information. Jerome ends up finding out how dangerous Rufus is, and ends up becoming a kind of member of Sabuna. Not really though, because they don't trust him. Eventually Rufus gets in the house, and it's for a trap. They were going to trap him in there, and they use one of the puzzle pieces that Jerome had had given him, and so that was the plan, to get the piece back, is to lock him in the house, get Victor, be like, yo, there's someone in the basement, go get him, we'll sell her. So that ends up happening, and then the season finale rolls around. It's still rolling into that episode. That's like the episode before the finale, and it opens with Nina trying to close the lock in. Victor's got her arm, and she's like, ah! And then he gets out, he runs, Victor's catching up to him, and then he throws the elixir, and Victor's like, I can't lose that, and he catches it, and Rufus gets away. Now back to the mid-season finale, Nina ends up putting the Cup of Ink together because we find out she's the Chosen One. Rufus ends up drinking the elixir, and Alfie starts to die. But he's not really dying, he's faking it, and we learn that the reason is because the elixir isn't the real elixir. Fabian had dumped out the real one, and Rufus drank a fake elixir. Basically, whoever drinks from the elixir gets immortality, but it's a life for a life, so it actually happened. Rufus drinks the elixir, so a life is taken for that, and it's Alfie. Get it? But he didn't drink the real elixir, so Alfie's alive. So sorry about my terrible explanation of House of Anubis. A great show. You should really give it a chance. It's great. I love this show. You won't regret it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Sabuna.